I'm not quite sure who originated this fly. It might have been Lee West of the Tampa Bay Fly Fishers, or possibly it might have been Walter Ham of the Mangrove Coast Fly Fishers. I'm not sure which of them. I've heard people say that one or the other of them is responsible for the fly. I'm not quite sure. But tonight's fly is the Green and Gold. This is a Redfish Bendback fly that works quite well. I've got it on a 1/0 hook. This is a Mustad 34007, and you can use other types, but this is a good hook for bending back. You might need to sharpen it a bit. Anyway, the original fly looks something like this. This is the gold body, the dark olive hair. You could also do it with a brown. This one doesn't have the peacock hurl, or I'm sorry, doesn't have the gold flashaboo in it. The one that I'm going to tie tonight, I'm going to add it just to show it to you. This can also be tied in the brown colors. But I had a client, one of my website clients, called me up, liked the fly on the internet, but said, "Can you tie it in black?" Well, I've never tied it in black. Well, I ended up tying it in black. Here's the black version, and I thought it looked pretty damn good. Now, one thing about black hair, if you get black bucktail that's been dyed, it tends to get really coarse. It has something to do with the dye process. I'm not quite sure what it is. I've tried dyeing black and had failures, but I'm no wizard at dyeing bucktails either. Came out kind of a battleship gray. In lieu of using black bucktail, I've got something a little interesting. I've got a big chunk of black bear hair, good black coloration, and you know, you're welcome to use black or brown or the dark olive, but this is the way we're going to do it tonight. Anyway, what I've done here is I've threaded all the way back to about 1/3 of the way down the bend of the hook. I like to tie my bend backs in such a fashion that it hides, the material hides the hook. That's why I tie that far back. We're going to start off, I put the thread base down so I can put this lead wire in. Now in this particular instance I'm using 35 thousandths lead wire. It's just to get the fly to sink, you know, at a good clip and stay near the bottom. I'm using Flymaster in black. This is a 6/0 thread, since we're working with the black bear instead of the olive or brown bucktail. I thought that would be a good color to stick with, and I've threaded most of the way back. I'm going to pop that lead. Make sure that it's right up on top of the hook shank, and then I'm going to brush it with a little bit of Zap-A-Gap. This is the brushable Zap-A-Gap, just to make sure that my gold body braid is going to stay attached, and also make sure that the lead wire stays attached to the hook. Good solid amount of that, and I'm going to tie in my gold body braid. And I'm going to thread back up to the front of the hook. Now, this is one of the few times that I will actually use my rotary feature on my vise. I'm going to stretch out, and I'm going to build my gold body. Okay, we got it up to the hook eye. I'm going to tie off the gold body braid. And I'm going to trim that. I'm going to take this off now. Okay, I'm going to flip the hook in the vise. I like working on it from the top down rather than the bottom up. And I'm going to tie in a fairly decent amount of this black bear hair. Now, you know, most of my flies tend to be pretty sparse, but one thing about bendbacks is if you want them to remain weedless, you still need to have a pretty decent amount of hair on there, otherwise it just doesn't work. And we're going to put a lot of peacock hurl on at the end, but the peacock just doesn't support being a weed guard, much of a weed guard. I'm going to kind of stack this hair just a little bit, and you can see I've got a fair amount. Kind of measure. Going to trim, and we're going to tie that in right on top. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now, you know, whether or not you add this is up to you. I generally do not, but if you want a good sparkly gold fly, I'm going to add 3 strands of gold holographic fly shaboo to this. Now I'm going to start with these full lengths. I'm going to divide it in half, double it. And we're going to wrap that across the thread so not even, that it's staggered. I'm going to bring that in, and I'm going to tie it right on top. So the gold ends up being just about the same length as the black bear hair. Okay, last step of this fly, this one's pretty darn simple, is a fairly generous amount of peacock hurl. Now, don't be too frugal with this. You know, peacock will tend to break away. It's somewhat delicate, and you know, we're fishing for saltwater fish. Don't be afraid to use a bunch of it. I'm going to measure that off. Go ahead and trim. And I'm going to tie that in right on top. Build my head a little bit here. And I'm going to whip finish. Okay, that fly is done. That's what's referred to as the Green and Gold Bendback. Great redfish fly.